Australians are being encouraged to do their patriotic duty and take a holiday at home this year to help the struggling tourism sector. The Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry is pleading with the government to lift all internal border restrictions by August and move to free international movement by September. Joining us live for more on this is Simon Westaway, the Executive Director at the Australian Tourism Industry Council. Simon, what do you make of those timelines laid out there, lifting international border restrictions by September, internal restrictions by August? Does it all seem too optimistic to you?
No, I don't believe so, Asha. Look, we've got to really start to put our best foot forward now. So in terms of the international border, obviously the government earlier this week confirmed a hard international border until middle of June, and whilst that was disappointing, it was probably really, quite frankly, a realistic position. We as an industry, and we have to work hard with the community. We've been at Tourism Australia's Directions Conference today, and that the message is loud and clear that the tourism industry is a fantastic industry. We employ a lot of Australians, and obviously, we're currently trying to encourage people to holiday more at home, but we need to take people with us on the journey. The international border, if it was to open up in the third quarter of this calendar year, would be absolutely fantastic. It may well need to be along the line of travel bubbles or certainly seamless sort of channels, if that makes sense. But, quite optimistic, particularly the vaccine rollout over the coming period, that we'll be in a position to work hard with countries such as Singapore, possibly Japan, the Pacific Islands, and one would hope and anticipate New Zealand. We start to get these international flights going again. It's critical. We had 27 million international air seats coming to Australia in 2019. In essence, we have only a few thousand a week. We've got a long way to go to get this country moving again, particularly as an iconic global tourism destination.
You can see why a lot of people, though, would feel pretty reluctant about booking a big holiday, considering so many people have had their travel plans ruined over the past year or so. Are we seeing a shift in terms of booking terms and cancellation policies? Do you think we will see a more flexible travel sector as a result of the pandemic?
Yeah, look, it's a great question. I think the industry's trying really hard. I mean, look, there's been some overused words in the last year or so, as we know, unprecedented pivot. I think with respect to pivoting, I think in terms of flexibility around travel and so forth, around the terms and conditions, the industry is trying very hard and working really hard to get this right. There's been engagement with the ACCC within some parts of the sector as well. Flexibility has been put in place. The airlines such as Qantas and Virgin Australia, in essence, provide full flexibility around their tickets, even for the sharpest fares. So, absolutely, I think we've got to meet the market where it's at. We've got to be confident moving forward. The circuit breaker here is the vaccine rollout. Now, the AstraZeneca vaccine rolls out commencing from next week. That's absolutely critical to get things moving again as an industry. It's borders, and the issue around borders is being that people are fearful by crossing a magical line or the river that connects some of our states, and you can get caught up in a border brouhaha between states, and suddenly you're locked on the other side. That's the biggest pinch point. That's been the biggest fear for people. It's pretty obvious because we've seen lots of sad stories around it. We as an industry want to see national coordination. It's fantastic to see Qantas showing some leadership here as well with Alan Joyce and his team. And the industry, as you're well aware, the tourism industry has been on this bandwagon for a while. I think we've got a good consistent message moving forward, and I think thankfully premiers are really starting to listen now that we need to have a seamless approach to our borders with the vaccine rollout, being able to assist in ensuring that hard border closures aren't the first cab off the rank in terms of a decision.
We've heard a lot about vaccination passports. How necessary will they be to travel even to close neighbours like New Zealand? Are there any chance we'll need them to travel domestically as well, with some premiers like the WA Premier, Mike McGowan, pretty reluctant to take any chances when it comes to allowing the COVID to get into the state, essentially? How do you see that vaccination passport working?
Well, one would hope that it's accepted and it's a seamless approach. And personally, I don't have an issue if we look at it in a domestic sense as much as a international sense. I mean, the reality was I travelled interstate today to undertake my work activity, and I needed to fill out an online permit. Now, that's the arrangement in Victoria, and they have a traffic light system. It's personally, I don't think it's ideal, but it took 2 minutes to do. If you take that to a step forward in terms of having a a digital passport or a digital identification around whether or not you're vaccinated or not, or when your vaccination took place. I think that's great. And I think the great thing is that the travel industry works through crises and has dealt with a lot of problematic issues over the years. So we've dealt with 9/11, we've dealt with SARS, we've dealt with the financial crisis and what that impacted markets. And we're dealing with COVID-19. We just need a fair go here. And if a digital passport around your vaccination assists in terms of keeping borders open, we're all for it, quite frankly, and particularly if it's an app-based technology, which would just sit on your mobile phone. We actually think it'd be quite a sensible thing to do. And you're right, it's absolutely going to be the way forward. IATA is showing leadership here. Qantas and all the major international carriers realise that we'll need to have proof points around whether or not people are vaccinated or not in terms of future international travel.
So, Westaway, appreciate you joining us on Sky News as always. Thank you for your insights.